Hi, I'm Barry John, and welcome back to Let's Play Descent 3 Mercenary. I have two co-pilots, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Laylight, peeking out from behind my newspaper.
And I'm Milhy, peeking out from behind Laylight.
So it's peaking Inception, then.
That's right.
Jeez, I was out of the state for only one day, and yet here I see you've blown up an entire space station.
Yeah. And then
I mean, at least you freed us from the threat of bees, so that kind of makes up for it.
Fair enough. So, welcome to Level 4. I may have made it go through the briefing a little bit fast, but our job is to set up the virus infection that became the opening cutscene of Descent 3.
That's kind of neat that they're actually trying to make this work in universe.
It's like Descent 2.5 then.
So, does this mean we're going to see people walking around in blue jumpsuits?
Unfortunately, no. We're going to be working in the bowels of the laboratory rather than the surface level areas.
Oh.
Can't just have everything we want.
Yeah, I mean, cloth physics are already hard enough to simulate, so, maybe they were sparing the programmers on that front.
What is hard to simulate, though, is the direction you fly and your orientation affects the rain droplets on your windscreen.
They definitely didn't spare any expense for the graphical effects outside, at least. They wanted it to be impressive.
Well, when the researchers bought this facility, it came with a snake head, and it would have just taken, it would have cost extra money to remove it, so they just left it there.
Better than them spending grant money on giant glowing fangs, I guess.
I have no idea why, but I think it's just a case of, hey guys, we can do this awesome light source outside. But yeah, there's just this opening, or this initial spot in the opening that's outside, but the rest of the level is going to be inside. And I actually like this level. It's well designed. It's 36 minutes long, but I can't really blame the game for that. Well, I can, but I'm not going to blame it.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that, everything in the base game has already been introduced and is available to work with, so it all comes down to level design and scripting at this point. They really have to kind of flex their muscles a little bit and show that off. It's a nice opening room.
It is. And we'll see it's actually a series of rooms like this, and I call up the map at some point in the future just to show off the areas. This is actually... what do I want to say?
The turrets were nothing to write home about outside, but this is, it's a nice fighting room.
Yeah.
There's cover, but not to the extent that it's going to trip you up or anything.
There's a good bit of, somewhat extraneous geometry, but it's not like the base game where it's just little jutting pillars out everywhere that block your movement all the time.
And you've got ways to go if you look for them, so there's an invitation to keep exploring.
True. Now, you saw the cracked roof there, right above a hole. Does anybody want to give a guess as to what's going to happen?
You're going to hit it with a missile, and then the rocks will be physics objects that fall on you and damage you.
Nope. Oh. It's time to do our best Indiana Jones impression. Hit the afterburners. The rock is fast.
I'll have to take your word for it. There's a rock there. I didn't really see it in the rear view.
I guess that's what that special camera view was for.
Well, no, that was me hitting the rear view on my my ship there.
Oh, so if you don't do that, then your only clue that this is what is happening is some kind of explosion sound effect.
And the rock coming down.
Yep, that's a rock. Well, the guide bot says something as well, I think.
So if you get hit by that and you respawn, then the rock is just gone, and you just feel bad about it.
Pretty much, yeah. You fly. If you get hit by the rock and explode, you respawn back up in the front room, but the rock has already gone through the tunnel, and now you got to recollect your power-ups.
Now, of course, the place where the rock came from is one of the classic places to hide a secret. Is there anything back there?
Nope.
Oh.
That's a bit lame.
Oh, here's the thing. At the time of this audio recording, I've begun filming Overload, the next game, and the fact that there are so few secrets, passages, or secret areas in this game means that I've lost my
intuition?
Not so much intuition, but like I've no longer recognized the visual cues that say, "Hey, there's a secret here. You should be shooting this door."
Like in Descent 1 and Descent 2.
Yeah.
I still have to decide whether I'm going to play that game ahead of time for commentary and come into it with forewarned and forearmed, or just go into it blind like the other games. Might flip a coin. We'll see.
Well, you don't have to play the game if you don't want to, but if you do, I'm not going to stop you. I mean, heck, Overload is recent enough. I might just try to corral a few goons into playing multiplayer and, record that.
Oh man, I'm really gonna have to sand the rust off then, if that's what we're doing.
I used to be half decent at these games, and then I didn't play any of them for 10 years, so that's gonna be rough.
It's a nice, yeah, there we go. It's exactly what we were talking about with some of the other maps. It's the individual sections are well laid out. There's enough spacing that you can tell the individual sections apart from one another. It's just, laid out nicely. I guess we'll see if that continues as we see the rest of the map. Since we don't have a full map power-up yet.
This whole place is one spot, and then the rest of the level is going to have a completely different design going by the opening cutscenes that look nothing like this.
Yeah, we're currently in the alien ruins section of the map. We've still got to go into the research facility section of the map.
Man, imagine if they did this in the real world. Like, if there was like a power plant in some Midwestern town that they just built it on top of, well, I mean, back in the day, the kind of insensitive thing to do would be to call it an ancient Indian burial ground, but, I don't know, just like a water treatment facility on top of a Civil War battleground, or on top of, like, I don't know, some Dutch settlement or something.
To some extent, that's just efficient, because they've already dug up all the ground for you and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, when you need a hallway.
Or when you need to make a door, just use, random alien equipment to do that.
Little spinning photon torpedoes, sure.
Yeah, trust me.
Oh, hey, it's a silent alarm, but still with spinning lights. I guess that's an improvement.
I'll take that any
oh, wait,
day
I do
over
hear
the...
it. It's really faint, but I do hear the alarm in the background. Alright.
Yeah, it's way better than the one in level 9, was it? Where it's just constantly blaring anytime you were near one of the things.
Well, this next section of the level can be described as a stealth section in its own way. As long as you stay underneath the central walkway, the turrets can't hit you, so they don't react to you and they don't start spamming homing missiles and the like at you.
I guess you can't really backstab enemies in this game, but flying behind them so that they can't shoot at you is kind of its own reward.
Yeah.
The turrets are slow enough that you can get behind them and wail on them for a good while, because they're not very good at turning.
Unfortunately, the turrets in this particular level they have overlapping fields of fire, basically.
So one of them is often covering the other one.
Yeah. Like here you can see the two of them offset from the center.
Yeah, you seem to have pincered yourself quite nastily there.
Yeah, I guess that's what they kind of have to do in order to encourage stealth, other than just get behind them and kill them all, and ignore the stealth.
Yeah, I mean, they're still giving you the option to clear all this stuff out, but I get the impression that there's enough enemies that would take longer than sneaking through. So, if you want to do a speed run, then the stealthy approach might actually be the better bet. Which is nice, because in a lot of action games like this one, often being stealthy slows you down, so it's interesting to see that they're actually trying to enable you in that way, where sneaking through might actually be more convenient. If you can do it right.
Yeah. And I mean, like, because the stealthiness is basically just, hide underneath the walkway, not like, take a different path entirely. It works.
I'm still looking forward to the part where one of these walkways is, like, partially broken, or, some wrench is thrown into the works to complicate matters.
Blow up. Oh, there we go.
That's
I guess he was stuck on the corner there or something.
His animation was running long.
Yeah, that's the best part in this game. Sometimes you'll kill a robot and it won't die for another, 3 seconds because it's got to do an animation.
And it's still blocking your way in that time.
Yeah, it's still solid, but it stops attacking for what that's worth.
And it distracts you. You think, oh, maybe it's actually still alive.
And
It throws off your threat assessment.
you burn more ammo on it.
The one nice thing I will say about this game... Well, I'll say a lot of nice things about this game, actually, but one of the nice things about this game... you never seem to really run out of ammo. They do seem to be giving you plenty.
That is very true. Ammo and energy is rarely a concern. Unless you're talking about, trying to keep... the missiles in stock, because those guys can run out on occasion.
Yeah, that seems to be the big thing, is balancing your... you still have the Descent 2 and Vertigo thing, where you have to balance your usage of, or ration even, your usage of the big missiles, so that you can use them on specific threats or on bosses. Although, of course, this being a short DLC, it's harder to know what the structure of the game is going to be, when it's less predictable like this. As opposed to Descent 2 being all like, okay, you know that there's going to be 3 normal levels and then a boss level. It's always sticking to that formula.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. I never really thought about it that way. And especially in the expansion, they're really sporadic with how they place the big missiles, so it's hard to tell.
Well, I guess ultimately it just comes down to playstyle preference, whether you like to hoard the missiles until they go up to max, or just spam them the minute you see anything vaguely uncomfortable.
Yeah, I always prefer hoarding, because you want to blow all your missiles on the final boss, right?
Yeah, I mean, what if there's a larger giant enemy crab just around the corner?
Or a giant alien bee queen.
Does that one really count, because it was immune to most weaponry?
I mean, I guess it was kinetic weaponry, so I guess maybe the impact damage of missiles would have helped.
Yeah, maybe missiles would have worked. I don't know.
There we go. Giving you a power-up and letting you actually use it.
Yeah, just get bounced around by homing missiles all day. Oh, that's satisfying.
It is.
Well, I guess we seem to be out of the actual alien ruins. This looks more like the industrial stuff we've seen from other levels.
We're in the lab.
Well, actually, we're in the maintenance areas underneath the lab.
Oh. Yeah, where they maintain tubes.
They have to maintain all these red computer consoles to make sure they don't turn blue.
Hey, this is the 90s. This is probably the server room.
Yeah, I guess we're inside a giant air conditioning unit for the servers or something. Gotta keep the corridors nice and wide to channel the air through, or something. Good thing that we haven't seen any fans yet, though, so that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really a system administrator, but I've heard stories about how hard it is to keep servers running, even when there aren't spaceships and giant robots having missile fights in the corridors.
Maybe they keep these melee bots around for percussive maintenance.
But now my current objective is to... Guidebot?
Thanks, Guidebot.
The current objective is to upload the virus, and then once we've uploaded it, we need to reset the computer, because, as again, like, this is the 90s. You need to reboot the computer after you've installed programs.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually really important. We want that virus to get into the boot sector.
And this is me handling stealth properly.
Okay, when I was thinking about a wrench in the works, I was not expecting, lights to be installed on the underside of the walkways.
It's a very unintrusive and natural-ish obstacle that does block you, so that's kind of interesting.
And yet you can't smash it. Interesting.
It's made out of level geometry. It's far stronger than those old 2D lights in Descent 2.
Well, it's a good thing they don't make turrets out of that same stuff.
I think there are some multiplayer levels where they actually do, and it's pretty great.
I can't tell if that was multiple turrets or just one turret firing off, like, 3 missiles at the same time.
Oh, that looks like a triple concussion turret to me.
It is.
It was certainly a lot more intimidating when it was pointed at us compared to when it wasn't. Oh, hello. We nearly forgot about you.
They were everywhere in the base game.
And of course, clearing a path a little bit because I can't quite perfectly stealth my way through. I mean, I can try.
Yeah, it seems like once you get to these, like, this particular gate seems pretty hard to sneak through. I don't think there's any kind of, direct connection underneath there.
No, there isn't. You're supposed to go up and over, actually.
And that kind of ties into another problem with stealth segments when they're not implemented with a great amount of care, is that if you have to restart for any reason, either because you have to backtrack or just because you died and have to respawn, you have to do the entire stealth segment again because none of the enemies are dead. Whereas when you're doing this approach and you're blowing up all the enemies, even if you die, then you've got an empty corridor to just fly back to where you were.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like they've sort of mitigated that a little bit with the way that your stealth passages are shaped, but that still kind of applies anyway. You don't seem to be opening up any other shortcuts either that you can use on future lives.
No, that's because, as I said, like, there's a lack of shortcuts, secret passages, hidden rooms in this game. I mean, I'm sure they're out there somewhere, but I don't like this game. I don't care.
I don't actually remember if there are many secret rooms in the expansion. There are only a few in the original, too. They just kind of forgot about them to make a unique experience that doesn't really always follow the same design philosophies as the first two.
Now here's a data upload beam that looks slightly different from all the other data upload beams we've used in the past. It really looks like something that would just damage your ship, but it's fine, I guess.
Well, that's the first data point installed for the virus. And ta-da!
Yeah, it's the flashing lights and steam virus.
Yeah. I do apologize to anybody in the audience. I suppose I should throw up a flashing lights warning for this.
Well, I guess we're fine now that we're in the corridor, but still.
No, we're not.
Spoke too soon. People thought this was cool back in the day. And, hadn't gotten enough complaints from people yet.
What's the
Probably less ice searing if you're on like 15 frames a second or whatever they had in the day.
Probably.
Yeah, if you're seated a proper distance away from your computer, but still.
Or if the graphics engine worked
This
properly.
would have been around the time when they were starting to get rid of CRT monitors and actually starting to use, what? There was something in between that I'm forgetting.
Not LCDs?
No, it would have been... There was something in between CRTs and LCDs, weren't there? I'm trying to remember, but maybe it was just, like, early LCDs.
Do they have aliens in here?
Yeah, I told these are alien ships. They will pseudo-cloak on you. They take a lot of damage to destroy.
Seem to be a little bit, like, just fast enough to be dodgy, too.
Yep. And they're going to
Did they start coming out of the woodwork as soon as we installed that first virus, or were they just always here?
They were always here, but they're coming out of the woodwork now.
The alien containment cell doors opened when the virus went in or something?
Pretty much,
If this
yeah.
fog gets any thicker, we're going to have to start using our windshield wipers.
Don't tempt me. But this is me just checking the level layout, and
I mean, I guess it's a good thing this gas isn't flammable, or else we'd have a real problem.
Oh, the virus turned off the turrets as well. That's nice for the way back, at least.
no, it didn't turn it off.
No.
I just didn't
It
trigger
didn't?
it.
Oh.
So you haven't broken stealth yet around them.
Yeah. Which is usually a case of, like, weapons fire or something like that, so...
I thought I saw steam coming out of one, but now looking again, that was clearly something else. Oh yeah, there it goes.
You know, I think overload was meant to refer to either the difficulty or the systems in the game, rather than sensory overload.
I'd never played Overload yet, but I should hope they don't have anything quite this gaudy.
They don't. Trust me, they don't.
And I see here's fine. This area is okay.
Now, yes, by the way, if the guide bot hits a turret with the flare, that does count as weapons fire, and it will activate the turrets.
Well, I mean, that's only fair. I mean, releasing an extra floating buddy is not very stealthy either.
I'm surprised just firing the flares doesn't break stealth.
Well, technically, flares aren't a weapon, even though they do deal damage and they do take energy.
I guess that makes sense from a threat analysis standpoint for these turrets.
Maybe that's why they installed those doors on the underside of, like that door on the lower level underneath that main door. Maybe it's for traffic, freedom, or not traffic analysis. It's so that the maintenance bots can go one way and another way at the same time without running into each other.
Probably.
Wow, this gun really isn't that powerful, huh?
No, but the EMD's advantage is that the shots do sort of track, and back during the original design of this game, weapons were going to be overly effective against certain enemies, and the EMD weapon was supposed to be able to disrupt the small, fast guys.
I did see those kind of like electricity zapping effects around that turret when you were hitting it, but it still seemed like it was taking a while to actually destroy, and I'm not sure if it was being stunned or anything like that.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a case of just it was something that wasn't implemented in the final game properly, so there's not really much to say about it.
Yeah, so I guess it's still just best relegated for cleaning up small, dodgy popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, once more with feeling. I mean, this may be, I think we're still playing on rookie mode, but you can certainly still die to attrition just because of how long some of these corridors are.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So, given that some of these corridors are pretty long and that there are stationary turrets at the end of them, would the mass driver have any real use here?
I tried. It doesn't work anywhere near as well as you were hoping to. It would.
Because you're indoors?
Well, no, like, just that for whatever reason, the health of the turrets is high enough that it takes, like, 3 fully charged sniper shots on each turret. And it will fire back at you from across the area, so you're aiming your shot with the sniper rifle, and it's firing homing missiles at you.
Oh, so you might have time to get off a second charge if you're lucky, but then you have to actually dodge out of the way, go back around, and even if you pop back into view, it might still actually be able to see you all the way down the hall.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, not as clean as we would hope. I mean, isn't that supposed to be the selling point of a sniper rifle, is high damage?
High damage, long range.
Yeah,
so where's the high damage?
It is relatively high damage, but like those turrets are too tanky, and it's like it's not really any stronger than like maybe 2 concussion missiles.
I mean, I guess you have less spread on it or drift than the missiles would, but still.
It's just kind of an unfortunate weapon. It's useful in very niche circumstances.
But I think they're also using it to show off the zoom function of their engine.
Oh, wow, look how far away we're rendering stuff.
That's more likely somehow.
Now, if you
to this game's massive credit, both like the engine, both in Descent 3 and Descent here, Mercenary, doors are more used to separate like sections in terms of flavor rather than in terms of rendering capability. I mean, you have these huge, long, continuous corridors that you're flying through without any kind of like doors in the middle of them at all. Sometimes.
Yeah, the doors aren't covering up loading screens.
Yeah, they're more like semantic divisions almost than rendering divisions. Oh, that's a flare stuck into the underside there.
This is the black pyro, so it has a red guide bot with green flares. Nice.
Yeah, probably worth it.
It's not like I get much use out of the Infernos anyways.
Fire hot.
This segment's kind of dragging on a bit. It's like they're changing it up a little bit with the design, but it still feels kind of samey at this point.
Yeah, there's not enough distinguishing factors here, and like they probably needed some kind of a checkpoint with, I don't know, 3 turrets in it or something.
Yeah,
or they could have put like one of those Vulcan tanks that everybody loves to hate at the end of one of these hallways.
They could have. But unfortunately, there's also a case of, like, the entire thing is just, it's like they copy-pasted and reversed the level design for a bit here, just to make it so that we have to do 2 things instead of 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other excellent function of doors. They give you a natural destination, an end point to a segment that is a natural place to put end-of-segment guards. It's great. The simple door, it serves so many functions.
Yeah, it's not just condemned to being a loading zone blocker, and yeah, it's much more useful for flavor and progression and whatnot.
Doors, so underappreciated, yet so useful.
Let's put 2 of them that lead to the same place.
Alright, here's the plan, Guidebot. You'll go up top and you'll distract them while I'll sneak in underneath while you're, distracting their fire.
And taking fire and all sorts of fun stuff with that. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Like, there's
Have
not
you
much.
had a guide bot die yet in this campaign?
No, I don't think I have. But then again, like, I haven't been going out of my way to try to kill off the guide bot.
I mean, it seems like it's still pretty durable as long as you're not, like, outright releasing it into the middle of a firefight and expecting it to survive.
Yeah.
Even if it does quote-unquote die, it just goes back to your ship and then you have to pay shields to get it back out.
Pretty much. But now let's try this again, hopefully with less being blown up by, Seriously, a mega missile didn't kill you? Oh,
I think you... I mean, I don't... It seems like you missed it and it only got hit by the splash damage, but still. That's, that should have softened up a lot more than it did.
Those turrets are beefy.
Yeah, so I guess it's in the absence of specialized guards for doors, this whole gatekeeping thing that I'm talking about, these data upload centers seem to be the more natural, not really climaxes, but I guess like checkpoints in the old-fashioned sense of, well, specialized challenges that you have to go through as opposed to the whole corridor thing. Okay.
That was an energy recharge room.
Oh, okay. That was awful polite of the virus not to shut that down, I guess.
Well, the virus is a fog virus, and that room's already full of energy fog, so it didn't do anything.
Oh, but look, we can render fog in a different color.
And we can make it go black in flickering intermissions.
It can definitely do that, but I'm more interested
No pun intended, but this is the dark side of dynamic lighting.
Yeah. I think I should be getting going now, because honestly, I don't want to have to fight these aliens more than I have to.
Yeah, that does seem to be the central tension in this level, is fighting your urge to go too fast and just causing problems for yourself. You could play this level very slow and very safe, but it would take an hour.
Or more, but yeah. But this is, like, words. Oh, sawed off!
Wow, these guys are persistent. I was gonna say, like, I feel kinda tacked on if you can just run past them, but hey, you can't run past them.
You can run past...
Did they open a door to get to you?
Probably. Or it could have just been one of my stray shots hitting it. But I mean, you can run past them, but as you saw there, they are very persistent in trying to follow you, so... There is that.
Oh hey, this is something. There we go. That's a pre-planned ambush. And one that can get out of control pretty quickly if you aren't, very, preemptive with your missiles.
Yeah, this place looks familiar.
It's certainly starting to look that way.
Well, that's another interesting idea, is just putting an energy corridor right in the area that the player is going to fly through anyway. Seems like 90% of the time they're kind of tucked into, out-of-the-way corners, but that one was just right there.
It is, and
on the critical path, so to say.
Yeah, like one where even the robots would fly to restore their energy.
And we're out of the defended combat part of the facility, and this is more like researchy, I guess.
Actually, we now have to reboot the computers to get everything working properly. And that means we have to physically turn everything off and turn it back on again. Which means... There we go. Coming over here and... Down past me.
You're trying to break that unbreakable glass?
Yeah, because some of them are broken by kinetic weapons only instead of...
If they've got that diamond texture on them, they're unbreakable.
Yes.
Yep, that's what old 90s action movies told me.
Yep. Diamonds are invincible.
Yeah, it's bulletproof glass. Nothing's gonna break that. Might as well be solid steel.
Oh. That sounds... This seems rather obnoxious if you're a researcher trying to restart the facility. You have to go around and hit all 4 of those switches.
Well,
Yeah, and hope that your jetpack fuel lasts long enough.
I suspect they have like guide bots or non-fighty bots to do that for them.
I should hope so.
But there we go. I need to hit these guys. That one. Shut it all down. Wait for it.
I'm sure lodging a flare in the main power switch won't have any lasting consequences.
Of course not. Now I've rebooted the system, it's time to leave because the alien virus is going to start kicking in right away.
And here they prove that they can do... Here they prove they can do decent-looking, like, flickering, fading light effects, and they just choose not to everywhere else because the 90s...
Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, why didn't they just do this earlier?
I honestly couldn't tell you, but fortunately, the exit is right out here.
Oh, that wasn't long at all.
No, I only had 60 seconds, but it was a case of hitting that point meant I could hit the...
Is it possible to recognize that as the exit before you need to use it?
You can shoot at it and it says the door is locked. And that is level 4. It happened.